Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Have you ever wondered what games you should sell or you should use? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Find out on our top 10 list what games you cannot miss. Don't forget to subscribe to Purge Reviews.
Now, Queen games are normally a hit or miss with me. It's a game company I stick with that I really like some of their stuff, and they always seem to put out solid games to me. You know, I'm never crazy about a Queen game, but I kind of know what I'm getting, and that's very high praise to me when I say that they consistently bring out pretty solid games. Every once in a while I'll get a game I don't like, but if Queen's on the side of the box, I know I'm probably going to get either a solid to a great game, or at least a very good game. And I think this is called Liguria. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but this is a really fun little. You're sending your boats around. You're trying to pick up cubes and deliver them. You have a few ways you can score. And this is one of those games that has a theme, but it doesn't matter. It's not a theme. Like, you're just kind of moving around trying to score points. This scores a point. Okay, this scores a point. Okay, this is what I do to get that point. All right. That's what kind of game this is. Now, the theme kind of makes sense with what you're trying to do, but I don't know if I would call this an overly thematic game. It is what it is. Now, I do like the aspect of how the cards come out and you're selecting them. The ones that are stronger kind of give you negative, and the ones that give you positive points aren't as strong. So you have to kind of decide, what do I want to do this turn and how badly do I need to do it? But you also have to gauge it against not only what you're doing this round, but what you've done in previous rounds. So if you have a lot of negative points, these point cards, you're going to lose the game. It reminds me of Cleopatra, the Architect game from Days of Wonder, where you don't want to do too much negative that's powerful because it adds up. So your question comes down to, if you want to take a negative action, is it strong enough to warrant that I'm not only going to get negative for this, but it'll keep me from doing another negative action later, because I would lose too many points and the math doesn't add up. You have to keep track of it all in your head. It's pretty difficult. You're also choosing your initiative order. So if you want to go first, it's not as good of an action than it would be if you went. You would have more actions and possibly more money if you went later on in order. But man, you really want to do this before somebody grabs it from you. And that kind of push-pull is really neat. I like that when it comes to initiative order. So I like this one. I think Alessandro Zucchini has a really good game here. It's not a great game. I don't know if you'll be talking about it 20 years from now. But if you like these little light Euro-esque games, I think you'll like this one. I think it's really neat. And there's some area control in there. There's a few different mechanisms that are in this game. And they kind of all come together in a coherent piece. It doesn't always work out that way. Now, it loses points with me for the theme. This is an hour-ish game, hour or less, 45 minutes to an hour. It gives you a lot of great decisions on a main of time. I mean, you have to decide initiative, how many tiles you want, which can be actions, how far you want to move, what cubes you can pick up, how you can deliver them, how you're going to score points. A lot of decisions that are packed in there. I suppose there's some luck with the tiles. There's a lot of tiles that come out of turn. If something you really need doesn't come up, but that might be the game where you need to punt just a tad. There's not a whole lot of punting this game. If you want to go early enough in initiative, you can usually do whatever you want. Usually. You just won't get to do as much of it as perhaps you could if you went later in the turn and risk not being able to do any of it. I think that made sense. I wish it had a different theme, because this theme is just tired of like shipping area control cubes here, there, blah, blah, blah. But The game only plays 3 to 4. It's not a very complicated game, although there are a few moving parts. So this isn't something that's going to be a beginner game, although it plays rather quickly. I'm going to recommend this one. It's one of my favorite Queen games to come out in a while. And I'm going to recommend this to you. I'm going to keep this one in my collection. I really, really like it. But I don't want to oversell it. This isn't a great game. It's a very good game, though, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I'll see with multiple more plays how much it sticks around with me. But I think it's something that I'll bring out occasionally that I'll actually enjoy a little bit. Here are the components for Liguria. You have a pretty good sized Queen box here. You have some beautiful artwork on it of a guy looking over the ship, so he's riding some donkeys, and these are the colors of things you'll be having. So it kind of shows you what the game is in a less abstract way, if you will. You're going to get your normal Queen oversized book here. You got a list of all the components. Queen always does a really good job on their books, to me. I like how there's always a turn order laid out, and then you have the different sections of different colors. I like their books, and this one is no different. So, very good job. You're also going to get a scoring track that will be utilized here. It will go together like a puzzle piece. Whoops. Nope, that's not right. You are going... Each player is going to get a player board in each of in the color that they're playing. You'll be able to track your information on here, and this is where your scrolls go. They are double-sided, but the same exact thing on both sides. So these are real hard cardboard and very nice. You also get a number of island tiles that you will be utilizing throughout. They'll usually have some kind of cube on it that you'll be able to get, and a victory point. Some will be nothing, that will just be space fillers to clog up your movement. But they're very nice Queen cardboard. They look very good, and they allow for module setups. Every time you play, the game is a little bit different. Here are the cards you'll have. You can see the back of them are all the same. And they're very pretty good quality, actually. They'll have some abstract things on them that you'll be utilizing, icons. The positive ones are not normally as strong as the negative ones. So the negative gives you an opportunity. And all these little icons mean something, which I'll explain in the flow of the game. So here's a positive 4 with 1 wheel and 3 cubes that you place out. And the cubes you place out actually help other players, so you don't really want to do that as much. You'll see on the negative ones there's less. But these are good quality cards. Very happy, shuffle well. Great. Here are the player pieces that you will get. You will get these in a number of colors. You can see here, you get purple, orange, green, and gray. Here's the boat that you'll be moving around. And the boat will kind of float around. You can hold a number of cubes, and the cubes will fit right down in here snug so they don't fall out. You will get a number of workers, a bigger one, and some smaller ones. And each player will start with a couple tiles that they will start out with. So, and this comes in the 4 different colors. You also get a draw bag that is very psychedelic, baby. And it's just got a bunch of these tiles in it of different colors. I'll show you a few of them. These will be mainly used throughout the game to take actions. You can see the different numbers on them, different icons. This game is very abstract. The icons are not difficult to utilize, but there are a lot of them. The theme doesn't really come through on this that much, but the tiles are very thick, very nice. Great. The last 2 is you get some cubes. They're just normal everyday cubes, different colors, and these little cardboard tokens that are used for money. Nothing special before. We've seen this in a million Euro games. Good quality, but doesn't stand out and doesn't bring the theme across at all. Here's the really only board that you'll have. You'll use this to put the tiles out when you're selecting them. Some cards will go here, and then this is turn order and everything. When the game ends, you flip it over, and it's the scoring track that you'll use. So the score is only calculated at the end of the game, and it's double-sided. And it comes apart like a puzzle for easier storage. The last thing I kind of want to show you how you put together. Everybody will get a screen that they will use to hide their pieces. These things are always a mixed bag for me. Wow, I put that one together wrong. But you get the general idea of that. Kind of sits like this. There's no real cheat sheet on it or anything. It's just a shield that you would keep your stuff so nobody can see it. for this game is rather good. Queen, I think, always does a fantastic job on their rule books. You have usually 2 columns, the pictures and the instructions, and the pictures line up right with the instructions. I think they do a really good job on their rule books, and usually their rule sets are fairly easy and straightforward. This is probably not the most. This isn't the game that you're going to be able to follow very easy. The mechanics don't fit the theme all that well, and things are happening for game purposes rather than thematic purposes. Like, why are these tiles out there, and why do I have to pay a coin to get from tile to tile if I want to skip one? It doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it's gamey in that respect. It's good game, but it's gamey. So I find rule sets like that a little bit harder to comprehend because it doesn't make sense thematically. But overall, I don't think you're going to have a lot of problems with this rule set. This is a pretty light to medium game, especially if you played games. A lot of these mechanisms are not going to be new to you. If you're a new gamer or gateway gamer, this is probably not going to be for you, even though it's not that difficult of a game. But it's going to have a lot of moving parts and a lot of different mechanisms going on. But otherwise, I found this to be a very solid rule set. Okay, so once you have all the tiles and the cards up, what you'll do is you have your players here. Whoever's last will get to pick what position they want first. They can pick whatever they want, and the next person can pick. Now, the difference between these spaces are if you're first, you get 1 tile. If you're last, you get 5. So this one has 3 tiles and 1 coin, 4 tiles and 1 coin, 2 tiles and 2 coins, 2 tiles and 1 coin. So this is going to be pretty important. So whoever's first to the left after the selection will get to utilize it. And this guy picks up 3 tiles, which is fairly easy. If he wants this one, and he wants to skip these scrolls, you would pay a coin for each tile that you skip. The first ones don't count, just from wherever you start. Now after they pick their tiles up, then whoever's first here will get to pick a card first. And each of these cards tell you a little something different. So this gives you a positive of 2 ship wheels, a U-turn, and you have to put these two cubes in front of your ship. I'll explain all that in a second, but the general idea is whoever's last gets to pick what position they want first, and then whoever's to the left gets their stuff and gets a card first. So there's an advantage to going last. So you can pick where you want, but you don't want to go last on this because you're going to get the worst card and the worst tiles. So that can be a big bummer. And if somebody takes a couple of these, the rest of them shift down. And that's kind of how this board works. Now, I'm going to set up the second part of the game, which will be the majority of the game. Let me try to explain the player board really quickly. So this, and however many of these tiles you would get that would have a ship on it, you would add here. And what this allows you to do is, it's how long you can sail. So the more ships you have, the longer it can sail. So the more wheels I have. Right now I can go 1 distance, but if I had 3 of these, I could go a further distance, and I could add more and more and more. So with this one, I can go to 2 islands now. Now the sacks that you can add, and you can add more and more all the way across. There's no limit. These are merchants. The more you have, the more paint cubes you can load. So when you stop at an island, this is going to dictate how many cubes you can pick up. Now the wall, or what's the buildings, these are just worth prestige points. So a lot of times you'll get these buildings and they're worth 1 point. If you're able to flip them, then they're worth 5. So this is just buildings you get. These are just like, I'm just going for victory points right there. It's not going to help you do things that you want to do to get more victory points. It'll just score you one. Then you have the crosses. These count as monks. And when you get these pieces, they're worth victory points, or positive points rather. Not victory points, positive points. And if you flip them over, they're worth even more. So now it's worth 2 victory points and 2 positive points. I'll get back to that. And that's how this works. Now, if the scrolls, I'll explain a little bit more in the game, but you can go to different places, and these will be multipliers. So for every wheel I get, if I get 4 wheels, it'll multiply by the scrolls that I can get for that. So that's the player aid. I'm going to show you the main board in a second. This is kind of a smaller version of what it would look like, but it makes it a little bit more manageable just to teach the game. And what you're going to have is you're going to have this boat that you'll be moving around the different ships. So let's say you had this set up and you had your player board here. So when you get these cards, it will tell you a red and yellow, or a yellow and a blue cube. This is what you put on the outside of your place right here. And that just means people can come and take those yellow and blue cubes if they want to. So what you're going to be doing is, based on what your movement is, you're going to be moving around the board and picking up these cubes. How much you can move is dictated by your wheel, and how many cubes you can pick up at a time is dictated by your merchant sacks. So depending on what you're able to pick up, these cubes will be out. So I had to put a yellow and a blue in front, which I can't pick up. Only another ship who would stop there would be able to pick it up. So if the purple were to come along and they had 2 merchant abilities, they could pick up both of these cubes. And what they're trying to do is deliver it back to their home base. They deliver it back to their home base, they can then score them for the rest of the game. And you'll score them based on getting these tiles that you can get. So if you get a red and a blue and you can cash this in, it's worth 3 points. Now all of these tiles that you get can also be cashed in. And whenever you flip them over, they're worth positive points, or they're worth the purple, which is victory points. Okay? So a lot of the game is just trying to get your ship, your wheel, and your merchant ability up so you can move around these places and get over here. Now, when you get to those places, you will drop your workers off. And this is where the area control of the game comes out a little bit, because you can put your workers out on these spots. And if you have to do that in order to take the cubes. And when you do, when you have a majority at the end of the game, you get the victory points. Now these come off and they're randomly set. So each game you play, they'll be worth different ones. So you want to make sure that you're able to get your workers out here to have area control. So there's a few ways to score points. Let me reiterate this. So you're going to get tiles, like this is a building, and then you can flip it over and score more victory points. You will get victory points for fulfilling cube tiles, getting these cubes back to your base by going around, and you'll move based on the wheel, and the merchant will be how much you can pick up. You can always carry what's available on your ship, and coming back and fulfilling these and getting these victory points. You will also get victory points from having area majority on the islands. This is not a very complicated game. It's really not. So you have the first part where you're kind of bidding for things. Where do I want to be on that initiative? And you'll be moving these ships. So it feels almost like 2 games kind of locked together. It's very abstract. Nothing is really going to make you feel like the theme, but the game is really fun, if not a tad long. But I've explained a little bit of the game. I didn't go into full thing, but I just kind of wanted you to see some of the parts I struggled with that might increase your enjoyment of it once you kind of see it playing. Who should buy this game? Like the medium weight gamers that like that kind of weight. If you like the kind of queen type of game, this is going to be it. If you're looking for something very thematic, you're not going to enjoy this. It only plays 3 to 4, so if you're looking for 2, 5, 6, or more, this is not going to be that game. Now, I do think a family with some older kids may like this if you're into these type of games. The theme, I don't believe the theme's going to attract a whole lot of people, but you're going to look at this and you're going to know if you like it or not. So Liguria, I'm going to recommend to those type of gamers, specifically thematic gamers, stay away from this. It's not going to be for you, but for me, it's going to be a keeper. I like this one.